Hello, my loving Life Lessons family. It's been a long time, and 2024 has been 2024ing. Um, Let me just start from wherever the chaos started. In March of this year, my stepdad got really sick. Well, he never called us stepchildren. We were his kids, and I called him Big Poppa, and I still will call him Big Poppa for the rest of my life. He had a really, really bad cough, really, really bad cough, and he had a history of getting pneumonia quite a bit years ago. So he went to the emergency room, and they said they did a chest X-ray, I think, and they said it looks like he had a cracked rib, probably from the cough, the hard coughing he was doing. And they said, well, they're gonna do a CAT scan just to make sure. So they did a CAT scan, and the CAT scan coming back, and in actuality, it was a nodule that was on his lung. It had nothing to do with a cracked rib, so the rib was fine. We got a biopsy scheduled with the pulmonologist. No, I take that back. We went to see his PCP, and his PCP sent us directly to a radiation oncologist because of what he suspected, which kind of freaked us out that we just went from the emergency room right to a radiation oncologist. Well, once we got there, the doctor, did another CAT scan and did a PET scan. And in the midst of that, he had us find a pulmonologist because whatever they find in the lung, whatever action needs to be taken would have to be by a pulmonologist, whatever. So we did a CAT scan and a PET scan. And this was in, my dates are all messed up. We're only in July, so this is a short period of time. So we did a PET scan, and what they found was it wasn't just a nodule in the lung. All of the lymph nodes in his chest lit up. So the coughing is actually from the lymph nodes pressing up against his airway, just causing the coughing, not necessarily the nodule in the lung. So, of course, you know what a PET scan light up means. So we went to the pulmonologist, and no, we had an appointment with the pulmonologist the day before we were going to get the biopsy. I went over to Mom and Big Poppa's house because we had the appointment the next day. That morning, we thought he fell out of the bed and hit his head on the marble nightstand. Well, he passed out because he said the next thing he knew is that my mother was calling his name, and he woke up on the floor. The knot was huge. Took him to the emergency room, and they kept him overnight for observation. Well, they kept him because they needed to have observation, and the biopsy was scheduled for the next day, and there's no way that they're going to put him under general anesthesia with a head injury. So that had to be canceled. So eventually, Big Poppa got out, and we didn't know what happened because he was coughing, and he said he was coughing, and that's all he remembered. No, he said he didn't remember anything. So while I was over there, while he was resting up, he was on the bed, and he started coughing, and all of a sudden he couldn't breathe. well, it looked like he couldn't breathe. So his eyes got big and he sat up like this to get out of the bed. And I happened to run over and he was just like he passed out. Boom, just like that. And right at that moment, I realized what probably had happened to him. That probably happened to him before because he instinctively went to sit up off the side of the bed. And if you're trying to get up out of the bed, you have the force of your body weight behind you. So if you're coming up and you pass out, you're just going to go forward. And that's where he banged his head. So now we know more or less what probably happened. So we get to the pulmonologist appointment to have his biopsy. And does the biopsy. And we knew that it was lung cancer when we saw we had the PET scan. We just didn't know which kind. And the radiation oncologist said it's either going to be, I can't remember the names, it's either going to be A, which means we're going to have to start chemotherapy right away, or if it's B, we can have them both start simultaneously. We got the biopsy, the information came back, we went to see the radiation oncologist. The official diagnosis was adenocarcinoma stage 3. That was a kick in the gut because he was a prostate cancer survivor since 2015. So you never really think it's going to come back, even though it's a possibility. What they did find, it wasn't metastasized. This was a new cancer because his PSA levels were still negligible. So we start the chemo and the radiation at the same time. And this all started April 15th was the first day of everything. The first week, he only had chemo 1 day a week, radiation 5 days a week. First week was okay. Second week was okay. He was dealing, but the third week was like rough for him. Really, really rough. I think the chemo, everything probably just took a toll. They said by the third week we should see a difference in the if the treatment is working. So when we went to the radiation oncologist that Monday of the third week, of course, Big Poppa was feeling awful, absolutely awful. We got the great news that there's that there was significant shrinkage in cancer in his chest. So we were over the moon and happy. So we're going home, and then I noticed, like, when Big Poppa has these coughing fits, he has this thing where he just passes out. But it looked to me like it was seizures, just the way, but they were just quick, a second, not even a second. I shouldn't say that. It was like maybe 5 seconds where he would just be out of it, then be right back, not remember anything. And when I went to the doctors, I told him, I said, I think he's having mini seizures because they're happening quick. Well, anyway, let's fast forward. Now this is the 4th week of everything. And Big Poppa, again, he's feeling real bad. It's like the 4th, it was just real bad, real bad. And this was on, let's see, May the 8th. You know, he was feeling bad because he hadn't shaved in a while. He just was feeling really right? My brother had come down early because we had a big family vacation scheduled for the week of the 13th. So my brother came down the week before. And Big Poppa had asked my brother if he could shave him, just shave him. Because he said, he just wants to shave, he just wants to feel clean. So Big Poppa was so weak that we had to put him in a wheelchair and wheel him into the kitchen, which is maybe 15 steps. He was that weak. And he's 6'1", like his weight was around 220 at that point. But he was normally like 250, 260, probably a little heavier than that. So, and he was known for having the handlebar mustache and stuff. But he asked my brother just to shave him clean. He just wants to be shaved clean. You know, he's bald too. So Andre's like, you sure? And he said, yes, please. So he shaved his face. And Big Poppa was like this. Oh, it felt so good. It felt real good, right? So then he asked him to shave his head. So he was clean all over, right? Then he said he was hungry, which he very rarely had an appetite. He wanted some fruit cocktail and sherbet. He liked unusual things. So I gave him some fruit cocktail and sherbet. And we're in the kitchen, and there's a TV. He mounted a TV in the kitchen, and he wanted me to put on YouTube. He specifically said, "Can you put on YouTube and put on some what do you say, the Whispers?" So we put on the music, and we in there. He's tapping his foot, eating his dessert, and he said, "Let's go play it in the living room on the big TV." So we wheeled him out into the living room, sat him on the couch. So it was me, my brother, and my mother's friend's daughter. And he got a little hungry, and I asked if he wanted some pizza. He said, yeah. So we ordered some pizza. So we in there, we singing all the songs, having a great time. And all of a sudden, he has one of them little mini seizures, right? And I said, are you okay? And I went over and held him and stuff. And he said, what happened? So I told him what happened. And at this day, my mom and her friend were out at the beach. She took her out for a little break. And we sat there for so many hours, and then it happened again, the mini seizure. And I was like, I don't know, this is happening back to back to back. I think it's something serious, right? So I said, Big Poppa, I think we need to go to the emergency room. And he said, okay. So I got up to go get dressed, came back, went to get his slippers, and then he has another one. And I said, no, we need to call an ambulance no, the third one. And I said, I think we might need to call an ambulance. And by that time, my mother has come home, and then he has a fourth one. So the ambulance is on the way. They make him walk to the stretcher that was outside the front door, which took everything out of him. It was like not even 3 steps from the couch to the other side of the living room, and he was completely exhausted. He had to sit down on the arm of the couch. Then he got up and walked like another 3 steps to the stretcher, and he was wiped, completely wiped. So we get to the emergency room. No, they tell me which hospital they're taking him to. Me and my mom jump in the car. We meet them now. They get him into the room. After a while, yeah, it wasn't long at all. We got him into the room. We went upstairs. I went to see him. Sat there for a little while. And I knew they were going to keep him. And Mom said, why don't you just go home? Just let him get some rest. Went home. And not even 3 hours later, my mother calls me. I says, no, I'm not telling the truth. I'm not telling the truth. That was the 8th. So the 9th, I got up, went to see him, check on him and stuff. Bring him some food, some goodies, some juice, all that stuff that he likes. And I left, I don't know what time it was that I left, and I came home. And about not even 2 hours later, my mother calls me frantic, saying that he had a seizure, a big seizure. And then as I'm talking to her, I hear code blue over the speaker and his room number. And I said, I'm on my way, I'm on my way, I'm on my way. And I was like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God.